In the sun-scorched plains of Texas stands the Lone Star Ammunition Plant, a fortress of secrets, guarded by steel, cameras, and unwavering vigilance. Here every movement is watched, every protocol followed. But even the strongest walls can hide cracks. Sometimes the greatest threat moves silently, leaving only a chilling void behind. February 18th, 2022 began as an utterly unremarkable Friday. The Texas sky was pale blue, a gentle breeze barely stirring the calm around the Lone Star plant. Inside, over 300 employees settled into their routines, the air filled with the hum of machinery and the scent of brass. As the shift neared its end, anticipation built. Soon, the machines would fall silent and workers would leave for the weekend. No one sensed the horror about to unfold. The calm before the storm was absolute. At 2:43 p.m., the factory's routine shattered. 5 sharp pops echoed, gunshots, not machinery. Workers froze, then panic erupted as Jamie Klein collapsed, blood staining his uniform. Chaos swept the floor. More were hit, but no shooter was seen. Alarms blared, steel doors slammed shut. The fortress was breached and the threat had vanished. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Sirens wailed as police and SWAT teams converged on the Lone Star plant, bracing for a deadly confrontation. But inside they found only eerie stillness. No suspect, no weapon, no trace. It was as if the attacker had vanished into thin air, leaving investigators with a chilling, unsolvable mystery. At 2:43 p.m., the factory's routine shattered. 5 sharp metallic pops echoed through Section 4. Workers froze, mistaking the noise for a burst pneumatic line. But it was gunfire. Jamie Klein collapsed, crimson blooming on his uniform. Panic erupted. No one saw the shooter. Just chaos, blood, and the chilling realization. Violence had come from nowhere, leaving only silence and fear behind. The moment Jamie Klein fell, panic erupted. The metallic scent of gunpowder filled the air. A scream ignited chaos. Workers scrambled, dove for cover, and the factory became a maze of fear. Alarms blared, red lights flashed, and desperate calls for help echoed. Trapped inside, they waited, terrified, for rescue. Within minutes of the first shots being fired, the Lone Star plant's automated security protocols kicked into high gear, executing their pre-programmed commands with cold, mechanical indifference. Massive reinforced steel doors designed to withstand a direct assault slid shut with a deafening thud, sealing off entire sections of the facility from one another. Exterior gates locked down and the entire perimeter became an impenetrable barrier. The plant, once a hub of activity, was transformed into a silent, sealed tomb. The lockdown was absolute. The fortress had turned on its inhabitants, trapping the innocent, the wounded, and presumably the guilty all inside together. The wail of approaching sirens grew from a distant hum to a deafening roar as a massive law enforcement contingent descended upon the isolated compound. State troopers, local sheriff's deputies, and federal agents swarmed the area, establishing a wide cordon. Ambulances stood at the ready, their paramedics prepared to enter a hostile zone. A heavily armed SWAT team, clad in tactical gear and carrying assault rifles, assembled near the main entrance, their faces grim and determined. They were preparing to breach a facility known for its robust security, fully expecting to confront a well-armed and dangerous assailant. who knew the labyrinthine layout of the plant by heart. The tactical entry was swift and methodical. The SWAT team moved in tight formation, their training kicking in as they began the painstaking process of clearing the enormous facility, room by room, corridor by corridor. They found employees huddled in fear, their eyes wide with terror and relief at the sight of the officers. The environment was eerily quiet now, the earlier panic having subsided into a tense, watchful silence, broken only by the officers' hushed commands and the crackle of their radios. Paramedics followed closely behind, rushing to the aid of the victims in Section 4 and beginning the urgent work of saving lives. But as the SWAT team pushed deeper into the complex, a strange and unsettling reality began to dawn on them. They found terrified workers, they found the wounded, and they found the tragic scene where Jamie Klein had lost his life. What they did not find was a shooter. Every locker was searched, every maintenance closet opened, every inch of the sprawling factory floor scrutinized. They checked ventilation shafts and rooftop access points. There was no one hiding, no one barricaded in an office, no one trying to blend in with the other employees. The assailant who had unleashed such bloody chaos just minutes earlier was simply not there. The shooter struck in a sealed factory, witnessed by dozens, yet vanished without a trace. No suspect, no weapon, no shell casings. Security cameras blacked out at the exact moment of the attack. It was a perfect surgical hit. The killer exploited every blind spot, leaving only confusion behind. A ghost in the machine. The Lone Star ammunition plant, built for security, became a prison. As steel doors slammed shut, employees were trapped inside with an unknown threat. SWAT and FBI teams surrounded the fortress, preparing for a dangerous breach. But after a tense search, they found nothing. The attacker had vanished from a sealed building, leaving only questions. With the plant secured but the assailant missing, the FBI took charge, transforming the facility into a command center. Agents interviewed every employee, searching for a lead. But confusion reigned. No one saw the shooter. Every background was checked, every locker searched. Yet suspicion only grew, and the killer remained hidden among them. As the official investigation stalled, rumors and speculation swirled through the Lone Star plant. Whispers pointed to contractors, dismissed guards, even shadowy outsiders. Each theory grew darker, fueling fear and suspicion. Management urged silence, but the truth felt stranger than fiction. The trail of evidence was cold, but the whispers only grew hotter. While the human trail went cold, investigators placed their hopes on the digital evidence. The Lone Star plant was a technologically advanced facility, a place where every action was supposed to leave a digital footprint. The most critical piece of this digital puzzle was the surveillance system. The FBI's cybersecurity experts descended on the plant's server room, confident that even a disabled camera system would yield clues. They believed the attacker must have left some trace of their intrusion, some fragment of code or an electronic fingerprint that would lead back to them. They were looking for the digital ghost that had orchestrated the blackout. Their findings, however, were as baffling as the crime itself. The technicians discovered that the cameras in Section 4 had not simply malfunctioned or been turned off. The data stream from those specific cameras had been surgically intercepted and replaced with a looped recording of an empty, quiet corridor from minutes before the attack. This was not the work of a simple hacker. It was a sophisticated digital illusion, a technique known as a feed hijack, typically associated with high-level intelligence agencies. It required deep knowledge of the plant's network architecture and specialized equipment. The attacker hadn't just created a blind spot, they had created a false reality. The search for the murder weapon also moved into the digital realm. Investigators scoured employee computers and company servers, looking for any search history, emails or forum posts related to firearms or attack planning. They found nothing. It was as if the suspect had never used a computer in their life. The most disturbing discovery, however, was related to the victim, Jamie Klein. Agents learned that just hours after the shooting, while the plant was still on lockdown and under police control, Klein's work email account had been accessed remotely and wiped clean. Every sent message, every received file, every calendar appointment, deleted forever. This act of digital vandalism from outside the sealed facility was a stunning development. It suggested that the shooter either had an accomplice on the outside or possessed the technical skill to breach the company's secure servers while on the run. The perfect crime was now supported by a perfect digital cleanup. The attacker had not only vanished from the physical world, but had also meticulously erased their tracks in the virtual one. The investigation had hit a brick wall made of corrupted data and encrypted silence. The shooter was a ghost in every sense of the word, a phantom who could move through both physical and digital space without leaving a trace. Jamie Klein noticed troubling security lapses at Lone Star. Open doors, unknown people after hours, logs that didn't add up. He reported his concerns but was dismissed as overly anxious. Like Cassandra, he saw the danger no one else would heed. Weeks later, the cracks he warned about became the path for a killer. After the shooting, FBI agents secured every digital record at Lone Star, including Jamie Klein's email. But his account was empty, every message, file and appointment deleted in a precise recent breach. Someone with technical skill erased his digital life during lockdown. Jamie Klein wasn't just a victim, he was silenced by a bullet and a keystroke. As the official investigation stalled, a mid-level manager, Jamie Klein's friend, became the first whistleblower, revealing security lapses and off-the-books shipments. Days before a news expose, he vanished without a trace. The message was chilling. Anyone who tried to expose the truth would be erased. The mystery had become a conspiracy. The disappearance of the whistleblower cast a dark shadow over the Lone Star plant. Secrecy was woven into the company's fabric. Employees drilled on confidentiality, handling classified contracts, signing NDAs. This code of silence created the perfect breeding ground for a cover-up. Management's statements were brief, sanitized, and discouraged speculation. The wall of silence was the ultimate red flag. The real mystery, what dark secret was the organization protecting? The leading theory, an inside job. The shooter knew the plant, its layout, its cameras, its secrets. Only an insider could move unseen, strike with precision, and vanish. Yet after exhaustive investigation, no employee fit the profile. Was it a ghost on the payroll or someone who never existed at all? A new theory emerged. The attack on Lone Star Ammunition was not a workplace dispute, but military revenge. Rumors swirled of a deadly firefight overseas, blamed on faulty ammo from the plant. Some believe a scarred soldier returned, seeking retribution with lethal skill. For them, the shooter wasn't a criminal. He was a soldier, finishing a battle that began far away. In the high-stakes world of international defense contracting, the competition is fierce and the rewards are astronomical. Contracts worth billions of dollars are fought over not in boardrooms but through lobbying, political maneuvering, and sometimes more clandestine means. This reality forms the basis of the third major theory that the shooting at Lone Star was not an act of personal revenge, but a calculated move in a brutal corporate war. At the time of the attack, Lone Star was reportedly the front-runner for a massive next-generation munitions contract that would have secured its dominance in the market for decades. Its primary competitor was a powerful European defense firm. This theory suggests the shooting was a sophisticated act of industrial sabotage, designed to cripple Lone Star at a critical moment. The goal may not have been mass casualties, but to create chaos and sow doubt about the company's ability to maintain security and fulfill its obligations. The death of a senior technician like Jamie Klein could have been intended to disrupt a key project, or perhaps he was targeted because he was a linchpin in the development of the very technology that was set to win the contract. The attack in this context was a message that Lone Star was vulnerable and that its operations could be disrupted at will. This narrative neatly explains the professionalism and precision of the attack. A rival corporation would have the resources to hire a team of elite mercenaries or industrial spies, professionals trained in infiltration, assassination, and extraction. Such a team would possess the technical skills to hijack camera feeds, the tactical prowess to execute the shooting flawlessly, and the discipline to vanish without a trace. They would not be driven by emotion, but by a clear strategic objective. Their mission would be to inflict maximum damage on the company's reputation and operational capacity while maintaining complete anonymity, making it look like an internal problem. Like the military retaliation theory, there is no public evidence to support this claim. No European firm has ever been formally investigated in connection with the shooting, and the idea of corporations resorting to such violent, movie-like tactics seems far-fetched to many. But for those familiar with the cutthroat nature of the global arms trade, it is not outside the realm of possibility. The stakes are high enough that industrial espionage can easily bleed into something far more violent. In this version of events, the shooter was a corporate asset, a deniable operative whose actions served a single purpose: to secure a competitive advantage no matter the human cost. The most chilling theory is that the shooting wasn't a crime to solve, but a secret to keep. One involving a shadowy element within the government itself. Jamie Klein's warnings threatened to expose an illegal operation, making him a liability. A decision was made at the highest level to silence him. The crime's perfection suggests a government operative, someone with access, skill, and motive. For many, the redacted files and official silence are proof. The truth was the real casualty. Two years after the Lone Star shooting, the Klein family's grief is undiminished. Their search for answers relentless. They hold vigils, speak to the press, and demand justice, but every official response is a dead end. Redacted documents, fruitless investigations, and a wall of silence deepen their pain. Each year they gather to remember Jamie, refusing to let his memory or the truth be buried. For the Kleins, the fight for answers is all that remains, a family's unending vigil against the darkness. Luis Ramirez and Tanya Patel survived the attack but vanished from public life, their silence as haunting as the crime itself. They left Texas, declined all interviews, and rumors swirl of hush money and binding non-disclosure agreements. Whether out of trauma or fear, their voices are missing, leaving a void where truth should be. Their absence fuels conspiracy, making the mystery even harder to unravel. The silence of the survivors is a question mark that may never be answered. Investigative journalist Mia Devane nearly exposed the truth behind the Lone Star case, until her work and digital presence were erased overnight. Her sources pointed to government-sanctioned operations and missing weapons shipments. Days before publishing, her blog vanished, her communications cut, and she disappeared from public view. When she resurfaced, she refused to speak, her investigation dead. The message was clear: some stories are too dangerous to tell. Officially, the Lone Star shooting remains an open case, but in reality it's dormant, forgotten by authorities, alive only in online forums. The plant resumed business, the crime a footnote, while digital sleuths obsess over redacted files and satellite images. The truth is guarded by a fortress of secrecy, the answers hidden in plain sight. The absence of resolution has become its own answer, a perfect crime, the truth erased. Until someone breaks the silence, the case remains a closed book. What really happened that day at Lone Star? Theories abound: lone gunman, government plot, corporate cover-up. But none fit perfectly. The attack was too precise, the evidence too thoroughly erased to be random. The real question may not be who, but why the truth has been so effectively concealed. The silence that followed is more telling than the violence itself. The mystery endures, a testament to the power of secrets and the forces determined to keep them. The legacy of the Lone Star shooting is silence. Families ignored, survivors vanished, journalists erased, and investigators stonewalled. Every unanswered question and vanished voice builds a wall around the truth. This is not just an unsolved crime, but a story deliberately suffocated by those in power. Until someone risks everything to speak, the silence will remain unbroken. The echo of those gunshots is a chilling reminder. Some mysteries are never meant to be solved.